Hello, good morning. I thought I'd do a little video today on the understanding of consciousness. Now, these are concepts because there's really no way I can speak the truth. To understand this, I'll go into that a little bit more further on. The understanding of consciousness versus, oneness versus separation. So here's how I kind of view things conceptually. So every human on this earth is like a personal computer, okay? We were all given the same personal computer, meaning we're all given, for example, the same amount of memory within the personal computer. We were all given the same basic programming, okay? So kind of like the reptilian brain, the survival mechanism of the computer. And we were all basically given the same frame, a computer, with a screen and keys. Okay, that's what we were given. Okay, and so that came through. That's the personal computer. I'll use me, Jillian. I'm a personal computer. You, meaning Jillian, the personality, is a personal computer. You, say your name is Joanne, you're a personal computer named Joanne. And so as we move through our lives, each personal computer has different programs that people download, different pictures that people have stored in the memory, different emails, different writings, many different things that would display. If you looked in everybody's personal computer, you would see different reflections of that person, that computer called Jillian, for example. Okay, and so let's say that computer only has 1 terabyte of data or of ability to store information. Okay, and I see consciousness like a supercomputer. Now, the largest supercomputer right now is actually in China, and so consciousness, for example, I would use, for example, as the representation of a supercomputer, and then the personality, Jillian, is the personal computer. The supercomputer is consciousness. You, meaning your name, your personality, is a personal computer, for example, okay? Now, what happens is that most people, when they're seeking, they go on this long journey through their computer trying to figure out the supercomputer. Well, the truth of the matter is that it's a supercomputer. That means the personal computer, with its limited space, with its limited processing data, with its limited understanding, can never actually know the supercomputer. So what happens is that the personal computer goes on an exploration to find a bunch of belief systems. So it goes on the internet and it's looking for belief systems. Now, when someone who understands and wakes up to realize they're not the personal computer, that their personal computer is the only thing that they're just supposed to act through in this lifetime, but they are actually the supercomputer, not the personal computer, what happens there is that they awaken and know that they're the supercomputer, that those thoughts or those things that are coming across the screen of the personal computer, i.e. the thoughts, that those emotions that are coming up in the body, i.e. whatever you would use that, for example, on a computer, on a personal computer, are not, the personal computers aren't theirs. That is coming from the supercomputer, consciousness. So when someone awakens to know this, and they're not attached to their personal computer anymore, they still play the role as their personal computer, because that's the role that the supercomputer gave them to be. The supercomputer said, okay, here's your personal computer for this life, and this is your computer. This is what's going to happen in your life on your screen, and you have a choice to accept it, You have a choice to allow it to happen, or you have a choice to fight it and resist it. And so when people who understand that they're not their personal computer, there's no resistance that's left. They no longer need to search and seek on the internet, because they now know, not just on a mental level, not just through the mind. They know it in the cells of the body. They know it in the heart. There is a division between consciousness, knowing I am consciousness. Consciousness is, I even like to use the word I am, because it still gives a impression that of the program, I am this, I am that. So consciousness is I, and the division is, yes, I'm playing the role of Jillian, but that's not who I am. That's not who I am. That this body is actually, this personal computer is actually being animated and programmed and utilized, and everything that the personal computer, the body, the mind, the personality does via the supercomputer. Now, as someone who knows that consciousness is, and that I am not Jillian, I am just playing the role of Jillian, as someone who understands this, sees this, knows this, when that division between separation and oneness begins to happen, programs fall away. Now, let's talk about the programs that fall away. Programs that fall away are things such as superiority complex. When one knows their consciousness, and everything is consciousness, and that there is no difference in consciousness, that all energy is energy, there's not better energy or less better energy, that we're all the same, we're all consciousness. The old belief system, the old BS of, oh, this is a higher plane and this is a lower plane, and that these people, because they're drug addicts, are on the lower plane, and people who are light workers are on the higher plane, all that BS falls away. That program only exists, the light worker, the I am better than, the superiority complex, only exists in the personal computer. It doesn't exist once someone knows they're the supercomputer. So other programs that fall away are such things as attachment. So I was writing in a post on someone else's their page, their business page, and I don't want to bring it up because I don't know if I have permission to do so. I will just leave it at that. And this person was talking about how cruel, how dare you not pay attention to the mess the world is in. And so they were still attached to their personal computer, as where when one awakens to realize they're not the personal computer, that they're the supercomputer playing out the personal computer, that doesn't mean they just suddenly run away and hide. That means they have compassion. True compassion, they have true unconditional love. So what is true unconditional love? True unconditional love is allowing someone to be as they are without changing them, or needing to change them is a better way of putting it. So that doesn't mean that you may affect them in a way that they may change. If that's happening, that's consciousness changing them, not me personally, not Jillian's personal computer. Okay? Other things that fall away, things like the need to control, the need to make my life, the personal computer, go in a certain direction. Jillian's personal life wants to be this way and this way and this way, and I need to create this and I need to do that and this and this and this, and I want. That all falls away. And the reason that falls away, the wants fall away, is because once you know that your consciousness, and once that understanding of consciousness is, then it doesn't matter to you what the personal computer is displaying on the screen of your life, because that's all going to pass away in the next moment. That's all going to pass away in the next moment. So I've heard people say things like, well, I want to be rich. Well, you're welcome to continue to try being rich. That means you have some sort of attachment to want. But go for it. But in that time, if you continue to want and want and want and want, you can only see, maybe not mentally, maybe you understand the mental, meaning the knowledge of that we are one, but you will still feel separate. You won't have gained the wisdom of it. And the wisdom is when it becomes a part of you, when it actually, when that division happens, for example. So when the wisdom is gained and when it's beyond the mind, it's beyond thought at that point. So other things that fall away is your need to blame people, okay? Because you know that you are consciousness and that you're only playing the role of Jillian, the personal computer, because you know that you're consciousness, there is a taking on of a 100% responsibility for absolutely everything that you view and that happens to you, meaning the personal computer, during your existence here in your personal computer until the personal computer passes away. So for example, let's say that I get in a fight with my husband. Let's use that as an example, okay? And before, when I was coming from the aspect of the personal computer, okay, thinking that I was Jillian, I would take 50% responsibility. You know, it would be like, okay, well, I'm sorry, but you need to say you're sorry too. And it was this attitude of, well, I'm not going to take all the responsibility. But once someone knows that their consciousness, they know that their husband is consciousness too. So they're as consciousness is the husband as consciousness. So they're the same being. And that they're seeing life from totality. So they're seeing the drug addict as consciousness. They're seeing the CEO or the president as consciousness. They're seeing every aspect of life as consciousness playing the role of all these little personal computers. And so what happens is that, let's say my husband and I got in a fight. Let's say we got in a fight yesterday. We'll use that as an example. Let's say we did. And let me think, what can I say? So let's say we got in a fight over, I don't know, making coffee, okay? Let's say we got in a fight over making coffee. So then what happens is, now that I know that Jillian isn't the personal computer, and that Jillian's playing the role as the personal computer, but is the supercomputer, then I take 100% responsibility for that disagreement. I take 100% responsibility as consciousness to consciousness, fighting over the consciousness around the coffee maker and making of the coffee, okay? This is an extremely challenging thing to understand, because when you are viewing life from the aspect of the personal computer, people become attached to things like sympathy, guilt, jealousy, what are those other, worry, become fear. There becomes this attachment to these emotions. And so with these attachments of these emotions, if you saw a drug addict on the street, then a person who is the belief system that they are their personal computer, they're going to feel sorry for the drug addict. As where someone who understands that they are the supercomputer playing the role of the personal computer, they understand that the person within that body is consciousness wanting to play that role. That's the role. It's like an act. It's like a game. It's like we're playing this wonderful game, this labyrinth, and it's like a tapestry that's getting woven with all these different scenes that are happening. And so when someone understands that from a level beyond thought, there is no attachment. They understand that that's the role they are to play in this lifetime, but they are still the ultimate of love. Their consciousness, that's who they are inside. And so I was explaining to a friend of mine yesterday on the phone, she said to me, well, why would I not get upset, for example, if I see something horrible in life? And I said, okay, well, think about your son. When your son plays with trucks, he smashes them together and he punches them together and he takes his soldiers and he punches and he kills and he does all these things. And he didn't learn to do this, but he's not doing them from a place of attachment. He's doing them from a place of fun. That's the same type of concept that would be like consciousness is playing a game like a child. It's just a game. Okay, and that's why the Eastern world for centuries has called it the game called Maya. It's called Maya. It's a game. And so, like I said, a bunch of things fall away. So the other thing that falls away, for example, is guilt and jealousy and a superiority complex and the resistance. All these things fall away, and it's not always instant. Okay, so if we look at, for example, some enlightened beings, Eckhart Tolle woke up and he had an instantaneous awakening. However, I like the way Mara Harshi explains it, who is an enlightened being who has passed on, is that when you turn the light off of a fan, okay, so when you turn the light off of the personal computer or the attachment to what you know as Jillian, when you turn the light off, the fan, the electricity is no longer going to the fan. However, it takes a bit of time for those fan blades to slow down and become to the point of stillness. So I thought I would just give you an example today of what the difference is, and I thought maybe some of you may want to know, you may not. So another thing about once you understand you're not the personal computer anymore, okay, you no longer need to go to try to find out what the supercomputer is, because you can't. The personal computer can never truly understand and know through the knowledge and through the mental processes what consciousness truly is. Because the personal computer is so small, holds only so much information, it can never actually understand the supercomputer. It can only conceptualize, meaning it can only make up belief systems and BS and bullshit. Well, you know what that is. And that's one thing about Body Talk that's great, is they've been using that explanation, the BS, for a very long time. So with each and every single belief system, that begins to fall away as well. So I watched a video the other day, and it was the 8 reasons you know you're a light worker. Okay, and so we're seeing all these videos, and I like to watch videos because sometimes I like to see what's actually going on out there, what's happening in other people's personal computers. So, and sometimes I like to respond, and sometimes I don't. And it's not because the personal computer is responding, but the supercomputer is, and I'm using my hands up because to me, supercomputer is huge. We can use to the side. It's not up as in higher. There's no better in consciousness or worse, okay? So the only better or worse exists in a personal computer. Okay? So if you think, for example, that you are superior to a plant, or that you are superior to the drug addict on the street, or you are superior to anything at all, then you're playing in the personal computer, not the supercomputer. Because the supercomputer sees consciousness as consciousness. There's no division in consciousness. Only the personal computer sees division. Only the personal computer sees the drug addict as lower and the CEO or the president as higher. So, anyways, that's a pretty long video. So I will leave you with that today. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or ask any questions you want. Yeah, so I thought I'd just leave you with that today. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.